So without further ado, just to start, on behalf of James Cook University Singapore Alumni Association, JCUSAA, I would like to congratulate all the graduates today. For those of you who are coming over from Raj's speech, I think you all might be confused how come got two alumni associations. So just to clarify, Raj is the president of Australian Alumni Association, which is like the umbrella unit that covers all the Australian universities, whereas our university association is specifically for JCU students. So that's the main difference. Congratulations to all. Definitely would not have been easy studying while a pandemic was going on. I think you all survived something worse than the pandemic, which is online lectures. So kudos to you guys. So yeah, the purpose of our Alumni Association, if I could just share a bit, product placement I need to do a bit before we start the event. We run all sorts of events for our JCU alumni. We have professional events like professional courses that you all can go for, networking events, and informal events like dinner and dance, interest group meetups, and things like that. So our main purpose is in hopes of making sure all our alumni are networked, stay in touch with your friends and things like that. I think it's very easy to get engulfed in work after graduating. So having such an association, a platform for you guys to stay connected with not just your batchmates, but people from all batches, I think is what we hope to provide for you guys. You know, hold on. I wish we have a board. Okay, for those of you, I know borders are opening up. Most of you all must be dying to go for your post-grad travel trips. But for those of you all who, for whatever reason, are still stuck in Singapore and want to do something fun, we do have a board games meetup coming up in 16th of April. Y'all can check out our social media posts. So we try to stay relevant to our modern times, right? So you can basically find us in all social media. Just Google search James Cook, JCUSAA, we will pop up somewhere. So if not, you know, you can also point out this, you can scan this QR code. It will bring you to our membership page and you all can find out more about us. So I don't want to take up more of your time. I will pass over to Steffie. The session's name is called Ask Us Anything. So please feel free to ask us any questions you have, professional, preferably unprofessional. I will just say beforehand, Steffie is taken already, so don't ask for a number. But our other guys all are single. So for those interested, you all can ask. But yes, without further ado, Steffie, you can start.
Thank you so much, Vivek, for the introduction. So as introduced, I'm Steffie. I'm the secretary of JCUSAA. And today we are doing JCUSAA Ask Us Anything. So literally ask us anything under the sun, be it what's career advice or what's the meaning of life even. Please don't be shy, turn on your video, unmute your mic, or maybe if you're shy, you can also put it in the chat. So just to introduce the speakers today, I'll be the moderator as well as the speaker. To introduce myself, I'm currently working as Investor Relations Associate in Tribeca Investment Partners. So it's an Australian boutique fund manager located in Singapore. Prior to this, I worked with Endawas. If you're not familiar with Endawas, perhaps you've heard of the competitors Stashaway or Scythe, which is a fintech startup in Singapore. And prior to that, I was with Western Union. I graduated from JCU in 2017, and I graduated with Bachelor of Business and Environmental Science. Now, to introduce our other speaker, of course, someone that you're very, very familiar with, probably someone that you see the face every day in uni if you have the chance to go to uni. Joshua Ho, he is our VP of Member Relations and Recruitment of JCUSA. So please do sign up as our member so that he can fulfill his KPI. Just be nice to him, you know. As you know, he is currently the Assistant Manager of Campus Activities in JCU. And he graduated with Bachelor's degree in Tourism and Hospitality Management from JCU. Lastly, our other speaker is Liang Weijie. He's a committee member of JCUSAA. He's currently case manager in IMH. Institute of Mental Health, for those who do not know what it stands for. He graduated in 2019 with Bachelor of Psychological Science with Honours from JCU. So without further ado, that's it for the introduction. So I'd really love to open the floor for questions. I'll wait for a few minutes if there are any questions. Otherwise, we can also get the ball rolling with some prep questions that we have. But of course, I'd love to hear from you guys, from the students, from the graduates rather, what questions you have in your mind. Don't be shy, guys. This is really casual. We are not gonna roast you or anything, so.
So Steffie, I was from some other sessions with our latest graduates. They seems to be pretty shy, so you all will need quite a lot of effort to get them.
Okay, now why not I open up with a question then, right? When I was a student, these are also some of the questions that I had in my mind. So one of the things that I thought is, maybe because I work in finance. So finance is something that is very close to my heart, especially personal finance is actually one of my interests in life, right? So how early do you start saving money for, I don't know. Oh, sorry. There is a question in the chat, so I'll pick that up. May I know what's the job application process like for international students? Hi, Natalie. Thank you so much for the question. So to answer this, let me give a background first. Joshua and Wei Jie are both Singaporeans, whereas I'm Singapore PR. When I graduated from JCU, I was an international student, and I have converted to Singapore PR after a couple of years of working. So probably I would be best to answer your question essentially as an international student, as I was once in your place as well. So in terms of job application process, like for an international student, I will try to sort of like prod away at what you mean, because it's a bit vague, but basically for job application process, it's really not much different. You just go through like whatever job portal that you use, be it like JobStreet, LinkedIn, Indeed, etc. You just fill up accordingly. Of course, always check the job requirement. Sometimes if it is basically for international students to get hired, the company requires quota, be it a quota for S-Pass or employment pass, depending on what quota they have on hand. So if they clearly do not have, usually they would put in the job requirement Singaporeans only. So for those, don't even bother, essentially. But essentially, you just apply through the same things. What's different is, let's say if you do get hired, then the process is different in the sense that they will let you know what sort of pass you need. And you'd have to go through the same way that for student pass, but you have to redo it for your employment pass. So take picture, go ICA, get your work pass, card, and etc. Essentially, job application process-wise, same thing. Not sure if I missed it, but what's the price for the membership? Wei Fu, thank you so much for the question. Membership is free, which I think is the word that Singaporeans love to hear, like free stuff. Yeah. Our membership is free. Our benefits are free to you. You get to network. You get to join our events. Please do join us.
Just to give a quick clarification, while membership is free, we do charge for some of our events. But rest assured, usually as long as you're a JCU alumni, most of our events, the pricing is subsidized. So that is something we can look forward to. So just so that clarification is made.
Oh, thank you for the clarification. But don't let that deter you from joining us, okay? Okay, Natalie again. Was it tough applying for PR, by the way? This is a difficult question for me to answer. I've always felt like I should. Oh, okay, Jujie, sorry, hold on. Let me just provide the link for you. But I've always felt that I should have applied for PR sooner. Yeah, because even if you fail, you wait for, let's say, a certain time gap, I think 1 year, and then you can retry again. So there's no harm in trying again and again if you get a PR. Even if you get rejected, don't get don't feel too dejected about it. But was it tough? I will say that I suppose I would be the target audience, right? Being an international student and whatnot, I would get a lot of ads on my, like, whatever I browse, apply a Singapore PR through immigration agency whatsoever. I would say, no, don't go through immigration agency. I filled up my PR application form by myself. I prepared all the documents by myself. It's really very, very doable. You just go through the ICA website. They have literally the instructions on whatever you need to collect. Just make sure it's well written, you proofread it, and it should be fine. Did I apply while I was studying? No, I applied after I have worked in Singapore for about 3 years. I just recently got my PR at the end of last year, Q4 of last year. So some people, I guess it's also a factor of luck involved. Some people get their PR while they were studying. Some people get their PR while they're working. I got my PR while I worked. And I think that does help in getting my PR approved, meaning they could see that I studied in Singapore and I also worked in Singapore. I have the intention to permanently reside in Singapore. Yeah, no worries. How long did it take to find the right job after graduating? This is something that everyone can answer. Yay! To give the chance to other speakers, Vanessia, you wanna pick this one up? How was your job search? How long did you get the right job?
I might not be a right person to do this because I do have a clear plan on what I want to do. That's the thing. Because I do understand that that people sometimes right after they graduate, they don't have a clear indication of what they want to do in the field. So I would just suggest that you can just try whatever jobs because the first job itself gives you that basic experience whether you want to work in the field or not already. So just don't be afraid, apply for it. If it doesn't fit you, then you can just look for another opportunity in another field. Yeah, this is probably my recommendation. Josh?
I mean, I think I'm the worst person to ask because I've been in this job for 7 years. But I think most importantly is try out jobs and find out for yourself what you enjoy. I mean, this is my personal philosophy. If you don't like what you do, you won't last long. So, I mean, evidently I like what I do, so that's why I'm here for 7 years, right? So, think about it. Try out. Look at jobs that you think interest you. Try it out and see whether or not you suit. Whether you suit the industry, whether or not in terms of your personality and your personal principles, whether it matches. I think that's more important. Vivek?
Yeah. Okay. So my first job that I got actually was I think this is why networking connections is very important. So when I was a student, I was really involved in club organizations and things like that. So I remember the day I graduated, our dear Joshua Ho here came up to me and said there was a job opening in our university to be working under him. So I jumped at that chance. So I worked at uni for about 4 months, and then I found another job option for more relevant to what I had studied. So I studied psychology, Bachelor of Arts. So I got a position at a social service office. So I went there. So that is also a connection I made through my volunteering experience. So all of that was quite fast. And it was also pre-COVID period. So things are moving quite fast. But when COVID first started in 2019, at around 2019 phase, I was searching for a new job. And definitely things slowed down due to COVID. So previously, me and my classmates who could find jobs it was easy to find a job, right? Within 3 months, most of us had offers. I think people who were just picky about the salary were the ones who were waiting it out. In comparison to when COVID started, it took about 6 months for people to even get back to us. And most of the places we even applied to didn't even bother replying because they just have such a big backlog. So finally, I think it's important to use all kind of job searching resources, right? Job Street, LinkedIn. You must also be shameless to a certain degree. I was advised to, literally walk up to IMH, go there to the counter and tell them I'm keen to work and apply. So I actually did it and they called me in for an interview. So this is how shameless we must be when we are searching for jobs. I think the more shameless you are, the more networks you have, the easier it may be. But foresee it taking some time nowadays due to COVID. But things are, measurements are easing up. We are going back to the norm. So hopefully the job scenario changes in the future. But for now, expect about 4 to 5 months waiting period. This is also what I've gathered from recent graduates, my friends who are searching for jobs, at 4 to 5 months is the average waiting time. But thankfully, our certificates, JCU degrees are well recognized. So with it being recognized, I think we do have a good chance in our interviews, and that's a helpful factor, I hope.
Yeah, the essential thing is just throw all your resumes as much as possible. Really be shameless, because opportunities doesn't come by lah. That's the thing. So you have to make the effort to make sure you have the opportunity to get something. Yeah. Dani asked whether there's any interview tips. Okay, for me wise, I guess because the field I'm working in is mental health care lah. So in this industry, usually if you are more genuine and you portray yourself as you showcase your skills and your interest in it, probably it's quite a high chance you get in lah. Unless it's you have a stuck personality defect that they don't want you, then it would usually they won't lah. They usually will accept you most of the time. And currently my place wise, manpower they are losing manpower, so probably they will be hiring more within the next few period lah. So you guys can try IMH and any other places lah, because currently now they do need people. So yeah, so just go and try. Interview wise, just be yourself. Prepared wise,
Sorry, wait, yeah, you're muted.
Muted.
am I muted for the whole thing?
No, just the prep wise, that was the point that you were muted.
Yeah. So in terms of preparing for it, right, just attend as many interviews if you can, so you get the feel for it, so that you won't be nervous, you won't be stuttering, you can portray yourself in a confident manner to the interviewers. Yeah.
Definitely agree.
So Steph, Josh.
I think more importantly is read up on the company they're applying to. They will definitely throw you some questions in regards to how much do you know about our company, do you know what we do, kind of thing. So it really does score some points with them if you know what they are doing, so that they're like, oh, you know our business, you know what our company is doing, you know what our company believes in, then definitely that one gives you a lot of points. I guess the other thing is, please use our career services. Get a resume proofread. I know some of you, your English is not your first language, so it may not be your strongest suit. Please check in with our career services. Talk to Miss Lydia. Get her to look through your resume and to align perhaps your goals to the jobs that you think you should be looking out for.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with the sentiments for both of them. So please do your prep. Prep does not mean just reading up about it, but also from job application itself. Do you understand what the job is about? Right, the company profile is also equally important. When I was working with Endawas, there were some graduates that approached me and they thought our company deals with cryptocurrency, which we do not. So that already gives me not exactly a fantastic impression, because I know that he or she just approached me but do not know at all what we are doing, right? So please, as Joshua says, do get to know about the company profile. At least do a basic reading of it would be important, right? Your resume also could not have any errors. If, let's say, we see typos or just in general it does not look coherent, it might work against you, because remember that nowadays job application wise, it's all online. You're competing with people all around the country, hundreds of people possibly, depending on how popular the job is. So you want to make sure that all the factors that you have control with, you maximize the potential. So again, use the career services, the resources that you have in the uni to help you with this, right? And interview prep as well, which has already wrapped up very nicely. Definitely get practice. And if you have an interview opportunity, do just go into it, just so you get a feel of like what kind of questions they ask. And the questions they ask can be very standard. Usually it'll start with self-introduction. So work on your pitch for yourself, an elevator pitch, so-called, right? Like a 1-minute introduction of yourself. What do you want to highlight? What do you want them to know? Then after that, the questions are generally what are your strengths and weaknesses? What's your experience that could be contributing to this? Why are you interested in the job? Why are you interested in the company, etc.? So knowing that there are some generic questions, you can at least prep a response to it so you don't get taken aback. Now, if you do get taken aback in an interview, don't just suddenly keep quiet. It might happen to people, right? You ask me, you throw me a curveball and it looks weird, So tell them that, that was a very good question. Could I get a minute to think about it? I think this is something that I've never really pondered about. You let them know that you're thinking about it, you're digesting it, you don't like just keep quiet and then they're like, you understand or not? So those are some tips that I have. So hopefully, and if definitely you want to hear more from us, please feel free to PM us or connect with us privately and we can share a bit more with you, because I don't want to take too much time on this. Yeah. Any other questions from the floor, perhaps?
I think I can ask one question on behalf of the graduates, because this is something that was going through my mind when I was graduating, which is, at the end of the day, we are a private uni. From your experiences, have you all felt like that has disadvantaged you all against Singapore, like local unis and stuff like that?
Oh, controversial question. Very, very controversial. I got a job and I'm happy with my job, so I don't know.
Mobility is good as well, right?
Sorry?
Mobility is good as well, right? You'll be able to move around.
Definitely. But then again, I think this also goes back to the previous question, right? Well, where like how long they take a job right after graduating. I think on average, people take about a few months. So that shows us that we are also quite competitive. Manpower is quite necessary in the market right now. It's actually, as far as I know of, it's called like the job searchers market right now. Reason being, there's a great resignation going on. So people are scrambling for manpower. So in terms of that, I look at my degree as a ticket of entry. I want to enter into this game. I hold this ticket with me. Whether I do get to enter or not, that depends on my other capabilities. So for example, am I presentable? Am I well-spoken? Did I do anything else to enrich myself, upskilling, other certifications, leadership experiences, extracurricular activities, volunteering, etc. Then from there, because everyone to enter the job market, most people, I would say about 80% maybe. I do not have the actual statistics with me, but generally the minimum would be bachelor's degree, degree holder, etc. So what can you do to make yourself stand out from others? They don't really ask about, maybe when you were a student, you kind of fuss to yourself like, oh my God, my GPA, etc. I have, oh my God, I have credit, I don't have distinction, etc., etc. But your interviewer is not going to ask you, so for statistics, did you get distinction? They're not going to ask you that. They're going to ask, they already know you achieved this bachelor's degree. Solid, you got it. You got this commitment of studying and you got this degree. What they want to know is about you. How do you contribute to them? Will you gel well with their culture, with their team? Are you a hard worker? What sort of work ethics do you have? So to me, the key difference is not about my degree, but rather about like myself and how I portray myself. Yeah. How about the others?
I totally agree with Steph because in terms of the degree, right, usually they don't discriminate. What makes you get the job or not is usually the interview process where they get to know you personally lah, when they sit down and talk to you. That's when they can tell whether you gel with their organization culture, etc. That's where they know you more lah, and you can showcase your skills or whatever that you think that you can contribute to them. So from then they will decide. So half the time it's the interview that breaks the process, not your degree lah, from what I know. Yeah. My place also, I can tell you for a fact that my place has a lot of JCU students. So yeah, there's no discrimination, like although it's a government agency lah. So it's really the interview process that makes or breaks the whether you get the job or not. Yeah.
I can tell you that the government does know about us quite well. This is an experience that I had when I was back in the army. The then Minister of Education, Ong Ikang, asked each of us what we do for a day job. So I said I work for James Cook University. Oh, right, James Cook University with the psychology degree and all that, right? I say, yeah. So you see, he knows. The moment I said James Cook University, he knew about it. So it's within the purview of the government. So don't worry too much about your compatibility in the market. Maybe some hirers are not too sure about what you're capable of, and that's what your resume serves as, right? So as all of them has mentioned, there are certain things that, for example, maybe you like, for example, for myself, I finished with a bachelor's degree in tourism hospitality, and Steffie finished with bachelor's of business and environmental science. But you may realize that we are not exactly in a very related field from what we studied in, and let that not be the shackle that binds you. If there's something that interests you, for example, maybe you did bachelor's of business or bachelor's of psychological science, what stops you from applying for an IT related department? Doesn't stop you. All these are transferable skills. These are skills that you have built while you studied in the university. We have an alumni in the, for example, his name is Gabriel. I'm not too sure. Quite some time back, I think it's Vivek Senior. He's actually working in a business consulting company doing user interface. He graduated the bachelor's of psychological science honors, by the way, but he's doing user interface. How does this relate, you may ask? If you think about it, a lot of things revolve around human psychology. So why do I click on this button? Why do I think I like this web page? Why do I think I'm attracted to, let's say, I want to shop at Shopee instead of Lazada? Why? So it's all about user interface, right? It's all about what attracts you as a person. So these are skills that you learn along the way when you're doing your bachelor's degree. So when you apply for jobs, let not the industry stop you from applying for those jobs. Since you just graduated, put your mind further, let your viewpoint be wider. So don't just apply for things that, oh, I must apply for tourism, I must apply for psychology. No. Okay, that's my other advice.
Definitely agree, Joshua. Actually, especially as an international student, don't be too narrow-minded about it. Keep your net wide and open. Most importantly is snatching that first job, first opportunity first. It's much better than a gap in your resume, in my opinion. Of course, some of you may pick sabbatical, and that is entirely your choice, but do know that you would also down the line have to explain what did you do during that gap. Generally, if there's a gap in your resume, employers might ask, and you would have to justify. So there is that as well. As Joshua said, I took Bachelor's of Business and Environmental Science. I ended up entirely in business, and I do enjoy it. Though I would say, unlike Weijie and Vivek, who kind of already knew what they want to do, when I was a student, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. I took business and environmental science because I thought that, hey, environment is the future, sustainability is the future, right? Yes, indeed, it is the future. Though I would say that we have a lot of room for improvement on that point. And opportunities for environmental science in Singapore is quite still quite sparse, I would say. So I ended up in business, but that's because I didn't think of to hold myself in that line. You know, I tried to keep an open mind and see like what other opportunities can I get with this. So yeah, that's one of the things. We also have a comment from Xiaofei. JCU is well known in a lot of countries. I used my degree to get a job in one of the international high school in Shanghai. So I believe everyone can make it. Definitely, I too believe everyone can make it. Nowadays, you're not constrained by one country. There's remote working, there's digital nomads, there's gig economy. It really that can go many ways depending on what path you want to carve.
Yeah, just to add on that, like quite a few, I mean, as what you all have noticed, a lot of our classmates would have been international students. So when I checked in with my batchmates and people, my juniors and stuff like that, a lot of them, not just in Singapore, whenever they go overseas, they have been able to land quite noteworthy jobs. They're doing quite well. Yeah, there are students who are like from China to Australia to now he's in UK. He easily found jobs and is moving around. So we are quite well recognized internationally, thankfully. So make use of it.
Of course, ideally, if you do work in Singapore, please do connect with us. QR code here, by the way. All right, we still have quite some time on our plate. Does anyone have any more questions? Or otherwise, since we are talking about gig economy, this is actually also one of the questions I have in my mind, I suppose. I've been working full-time job ever since I graduated, but I do wonder whether there's any difference between full-time. Could you please put the QR code bigger? My phone are not able to scan it. Chunjia, you can double click on any of our faces and basically make it bigger, maximize your screen, and I hope you can scan it. If not, can we send the link to you via chat? Oh, as I was saying, what is the difference between full-time employment and gig economy? Because honestly, I have a younger sister, and she is genuinely considering gig economy. So being a freelancer, an influencer, sell stuff through Instagram and that sort of thing. Did any of it ever come across to you, and how would you think that would differ from full-time employment? Anyone want to pick up the question?
I think I can share. Okay, so I also have always worked full-time jobs, but from what I've heard from fellow alumni, I think we have one alumni now selling quiz, and she has like those mobile coffee stand that she rents out for events and things like that. So it is quite, I mean, now it's an Instagram world, right? Half of our shoppings are done through Lazada or Instagram and things like that. Advertisements are popping up everywhere. So it is rather sustainable. Quite a few of them did venture down there and are doing quite well. But I think your planning of finances will have to be in a different scale if you're going to do that. You know, at any given time, you have to be prepared for things to not go so well. We have friends who, of course, did suffer a bit at the start of COVID, and, you know, with events scales going down, a lot of them were very thankful that they had the savings to push them through this COVID period. So I think as long as you have that in mind, if you have capital, quite a few of my friends who are doing this, they do it with partners. So it's not just one person's capital and income you are working on, right? Everyone chips in and they do this kind of a part-time business. It's more safer that way. But then again, it varies from person to person. If you are passionate about something and you want to do it as your own startup, I think you can go for it, but just keep the finances at the back of your mind. And thankfully also like just to look another product placement as well. In the future, we are looking into giving this kind of financial talks and courses that we will be advertising soon for you guys. So joining these kind of talks, learning a bit about the finances before you get into it could be helpful to you.
Definitely.
Totally agree with Vivek because essentially what's the difference is whether you have consistent income. So you take a full-time job, you have a consistent income flow. If you're taking a gig economy, right, it may depend on how much you sell, how much events you're taking on, and the type of stuff. So I would say there's more hard work involved in terms of if you are taking a gig economy. You have to make your own opportunities lah. They don't just land on your lap. So the amount you make in the gig economy will depend on how active you're looking out for opportunities to play on. Yeah. So that's the main difference. Yeah, that's what Vivek said. Financial planning is a little different because in gig economy, what makes or break your income is the number of things you are available to you to play on, like whether it's the number of events you have to do or number of things you have to sell. Yeah. So this is the thing that you have to take note Yeah, because I have friends and different alumni who are doing like side businesses, but they don't do it as a full-time thing. So it can supplement your income, but not like take over the whole thing, basically. Yeah.
That's actually what I wanted to ask. Like while we were talking about this gig economy thing, I think a lot of people do side hustles. I do wonder about that. I suppose I do not have the experience on that being full-time employed and not quite sure what side hustle to do. But wait, do you have any interesting stories you might be able to share?
I think I don't know whether the psych students would know You have a lecturer, a junior lecturer, or a tutor that is doing like a cupcake business. Yeah, so she's doing it at the side to earn a supplementary income, and she's been doing it since she was a student So I think time does help you build up your side business. It may not start up like fantastic at first, but as time goes over, you'll start building up and start rolling over if you're doing good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We do have some alumni as well that went on perhaps not to full-time employment, but also opening up their own businesses. So definitely don't be constrained with a certain pathway of just finding a job. You can also go through, basically there's a myriad of journeys and pathways open to you right now. It really depends on what you want to do in the future. And as well, if you do end up opening a business in Singapore, please promote your business through us. We'll be happy to network with you. Okay, I think we do have time for 2 more questions. Okay, another question from Natalie. Resume and job-wise, is it good to have dabbled in a variety of fields? Retail, social media, and teaching. All right, perhaps I can answer this first. My very first job out of university was as a recruiter. So I am quite familiar with looking at resumes, what recruiters want, what sort of, basically what sort of profile they're looking at. I will be very honest in my experience. It does not look good if you have dabbled in a variety of fields. Some people may prefer it because it shows the breadth of experience that they have. But for most companies that I back then recruited for, as far as I know of, they wanted depth, not breadth. So they wanted to see someone who is very, very experienced in, let's say, finance. Then they want that person to have like maybe 5 years experience in finance, not 1 year in education, 1 year in retail, 1 year in finance, and then they don't have that in-depth knowledge. So personally, no. But do others have any inputs on this?
I think in terms of entry-level jobs, I think breadth is okay because as long as you can justify what skills you're using. For example, for me, I've been a teacher before. I've been a retail seller before. So for me, because my job scope mainly deals with people, so I'm able to deal with children. I can prop myself out saying that I can handle children very well. I did retail before, so I can promote myself as I can deal with people, interact with them. I can sell them ideas. like it's important for my job because, like, for example, you have to tell people to eat medicine, they don't want to eat medicine, then how are you going to convince them? So these are little micro skills you're picking up here and there from your previous experience. Then you can also say that you've done, for example, like organizing activities in your university or whatever, if you're a VP or whatever. So you have experience dealing with external parties, you have experience dealing with a lot of people, and you can do independent work. So those are micro skills that you have that can prop yourself up, especially at entry level. So because entry level wise, they don't really expect you to have a lot of experience. But as you move on, definitely, as what Steph say, that matters if you're going up, you're going higher. So entry level, I would say, try to make use of what skills you have, how you promote yourself. That's the most important. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I should clarify that for entry level, especially if you did these things as like part-time while you're a student, actually it is beneficial for you to put it in your resume because it shows me while you are studying, you are also able to hustle and juggle all these things and basically pick up all these micro skills. But yes, as you move forward, if you do jump around industries, it might signal to a recruiter that you don't quite know what you want. So it does differ on what stage of your life you're at and what sort of experience you accumulate down the line. Yeah. How about Joshua and Vivek? Any inputs on these?
I think ultimately it's how you sell yourself, how you brand yourself. So like what just to wrap up what Vijay has mentioned, is you have all these skills. How then do you package it nicely and tell the employer that you see all of this is relevant to the job and I have all of them. Hire me. You know.
Yeah, definitely. The way you phrase your experience in your resume can also really highlight basically what you learn. If you just tell me like retail worker at, shop A, and then you don't tell me like what you've learned and achieved there, but you just kind of tell me like, basically your job responsibilities. There's no highlights. It might also be difficult for an employer to understand how this can value add to the job that they're looking for. So customizing your resume does play a part, and definitely approach career services.
I would definitely recommend professional help because there's a lot of systems that currently like a lot of big companies are using. Mostly is computerized systems. They'll pick up keywords and put it up nicely for the HR. So if you don't have professional help, a lot of the information you put in your resume may not be shown because you don't know what's the format, don't know what's the things they are looking for. So do look for professional help. This is the thing that I would highly recommend. Don't do it by yourself. Look for someone to help you do it. Yeah.
All right, a comment from Natalie. That was really insightful. Thank you for the detailed answers. Oh, thank you also for the praise. We really, really happy to help and really happy that the audience seems to be very engaged and there's a lot of questions coming in. Please don't be shy. We do have time for one more question. This is going to be the last question. So really, really just take this opportunity and ask whatever you have in mind before we close the session. I'm going to wait for one more minute just to give the opportunity to the students to ask a question, because ideally I would like to get the questions from the floor. Okay, so far nothing there, but I suppose we could just end with one of the questions that we've prepared on our end. What is it like having a full-time job? Is it fun or is it hellish? Do you cry yourself to sleep at night? I could see giggles and whatnot. All right, anyone want to share and open up? Do you cry yourself at night?
Josh, you want to do first?
Okay, I think, well, I think the first few years is really hard work. It's a lot of groundwork, at least for me. My job involves talking to a lot of people, understanding how things work behind the scenes. You may I may seem very free walking around the school talking to people, but that's my job. I need to understand what exactly you guys are going through, because you guys are the customers in that sense. And understanding what you guys want is essential for me, because I then need to then give this feedback to the people upstairs, what's going on, right? And understanding the sentiment is my job. So I would say first few years is really a lot of hard work for me. Gradually things even out, because once you have overcome your learning curve in at your job, you get better. And I think more importantly is, don't just do work. Get yourself a hobby. If if you like watching drama, so be it. Watch drama. Hang out with friends. Network. What if I'm an introvert? You ask. I like to be alone. I would say still go and meet your friends. Connection is very important. Social safety network is very important. It's what keeps you sane. It's what keeps you human. Uh, if you get burnout, you have friends to support you. You have people to rant to about your whatever stuff you went through at work. If you are always alone, you always keep it bottled inside, chances are you will do very dangerous things to yourself. And I think Wei Jie and Vivek will echo this very much. Yeah. So another thing is, if you think that the work is really too much for you after 6 months, please leave. Your mental health and your physical health is not worth the risk. Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself to the company. Your life is more important. My personal philosophy is not to retire, work hard, earn a lot, and retire early. I don't believe in that. I believe in living life now. Not say YOLO, go and spend all your money now. No, that's not the point. The point is, use your money wisely, but at the same time, give yourself rewards. Pamper yourself a little, because you need it. The road in life is long. If you're gonna retire at say 45, what's the meaning of life, right? What are you gonna do? Sit around all day, watch TV? Isn't that very boring? No, just my personal thought lah.
Thank
Right.
you so much, Joshua, for the insights. I think it is very true. Do treasure your physical and mental health as well. We do have one question from Danny. This is for Wei Jie. Could you describe more on what you do on a day-to-day basis as a case manager?
So for me wise, I think, crying myself to sleep, I think is one of the things that may happen. Bringing up the previous question. So, so speaking about my job, right? So my job, I'm part of the transitional care team lah. So this is not your typical case manager job. My colleagues wise, they do hospital, like the acute wards, like they deal with acute patients more often lah. So they're in the hospital more often. They have a team to work with. So for me, it's a bit different. For me, because I'm working in the traditional care team, right, I am doing a lot of independent work. I'm in charge of a large area of patients lah. So basically, they give me a postal code. I'm in charge of all these patients. So it's not one postal code, it's like the whole big area. So this is what I'm in charge of doing it on a daily basis. So I deal with mostly patients that have left the hospital, or as long as they stay in the postal code, they're also under me lah. So if they come back in the hospital, I'll be seeing them as well. In terms of daily activities, I've been doing assessments, like para-counseling, doing a lot of medicine compliance and psychoeducation in terms of medical compliance and appointment compliance lah. Yeah, I do home visits. So my job is totally different than the normal case manager work lah. So you only have you don't have someone like asking you what to do. That's the key features lah. So everything is independent. So that's why if you are stressed out, you'll probably have to cry by yourself. Like you don't have anyone to talk to. Yeah. So, but for the other teams, I guess if you're in the ward, right, you're totally fine. Like you have a group of people, you have someone telling you what to do, you have seniors inside you, then you're doing almost the same things, except in terms of outpatient work, you don't do as much as me. Yeah, so like for example, after 1 or 2 appointments they have in the clinic after they discharge from the hospital, then you can let them go already. Yeah. So you have to deal with a lot of nonsense from the patients because they are not well. So you have to deal with it. Suicidal patients are the ones you are dealing currently in different seasons. Like different seasons it's in the year, right? You have a lot of things to deal with. Whether it's suicidal, whether it's drugs, a lot of things that you have to deal with. So if you want to enter my field, I think like self-care is very important. You sometimes do get a bit affected by these things like especially for suicide cases, it's not good Even my 3 years of working in the hospital, I already have 6 patient death already that I have to go through. So this is the thing you have to deal with. You have to be confident in dealing with it Yeah, if you want to join my industry, this is a very common thing. So as you can see, you can't reason with a mentally ill patient. You only can reason with them when they're well. So important thing is really to slowly try to get rapport, make sure they go for treatment and take the medication properly so that they can be well. Then from there you can work on maintaining that wellness. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And especially sometimes depending on the job itself, it might be really stressful. Because honestly, I think this kind of job requires great responsibility, so it can really inflict different type of stress on a person. So again, as Vivek has advised, as Joshua has advised, get a hobby, gather with your friends, and we do gatherings as well. So invite your friends, come to our gatherings, hang out with people. We do have one question from Erica. What if what I have studied is different from what I would want to do as a career? Anyone want to input on this?
No, it's totally fine, I guess, because as what Steffie said, the degree is just a ticket to enter the company or whatever place you're trying to work with. Yes, it may be good to have a specific specialized degree of sorts to enter the field, but it's not always the case. I have a friend working in Deloitte with after he graduated, it's a consulting firm for auditing, accounting, but he studied from psychology, you get what I'm saying? So it's totally different field. But he managed to get in because he's willing to learn, willing to take the pressure of handling and the learning process in the company itself. So I would say it's okay. Just try for it, yeah.
I would definitely agree as well. What I have studied indeed is different from what I got as a career. Though I do have business and environmental science, but I suppose in terms of that, because it's not a fully business, it's not that, how shall I say? I have a more varied knowledge rather than a more in-depth knowledge, I would say. I would say it didn't pose as an issue for me. I think what's important is in uni, while I studied, right, I was also dabbling in other things. So be it extracurricular activities, we worked a lot with Joshua, we were in student council, in orientation committees, so on and so forth. I mean, as I said, your degree is your ticket, but a lot of it is also about yourself, your personality, your willingness to learn, especially is very important. What you study at school is just scratching the surface level. You are not gonna know what is the industry insights in depth as you come out fresh. So what's important is getting these sort of transferable skills across the board. So your communication skills, your interpersonal skills, your writing skills even, because typing an email is actually a skill as much as you hate it. So project management skills as well, because you might be thrown certain projects down the line and you do not have like team members like back then in school where you have like, hey, you know, these are all your fellow student mates and you're telling that, hey, you handle this, you handle that, you handle that. But whereas in work, it might be a small lean team and you're thrown that project just on your plate, all to be handled by yourself. So again, I think not just about the paper qualification that you earn, but also about other transferable skills that you've learned in university. Yeah.
I think just to add to that, I think you know, even joining a job that is relevant to what you have studied, right, will have different aspects to it. So for myself, I'm a social worker at a prison halfway house. So you know, in theory, that sounds very relevant to psychology, but I have to function as a job coach to find them jobs. I have to function as a HR manager when dealing with my clients' employers. I have to function as a family counselor when dealing with family members. I have to function as a financial advisor when teaching them about their finances and stuff. So it's like, it's not just say like doing this title makes you only practice one aspect. I think all jobs require you to do things. I think even when I was working in SSO, I was expected to be like a program manager, planning programs for the ministers to tell them about the societal needs and stuff. So that there's always different aspects in each job. So when you work exploring these different aspects in your particular job itself may keep you entertained, like won't feel mundane doing jobs day to day, because there's always different things you can explore in any given job. So yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to share. I think also just to touch back to the experience doing full-time job, one extra point I just wanted to add is finding a job with good work culture and like good colleagues. Like I think at the end of the day, if you ask, like, most people will say like their colleagues is what keeps them going. As mentioned, working in a prison halfway house, there are many reasons for me to cry at night, but I think after dealing with a difficult case, going back and speaking to my colleagues, feeling supported by them is what makes me sleep without tears at night. So I think that is another aspect people should always look into, not just how you are performing, how your colleagues are with you and things like that should also be taken into consideration on whether you want to move forward with this job or not.
Definitely. To add on to Vivek's statement, it is something I definitely echo. Firstly, your job scope when you apply might be like this, but end up when you work, you might be doing like this. So like, you know, don't just trust like your job responsibilities like this. They might like add in other stuff on you. It's just kind of part of the job. Another thing is definitely, I also agree on the your colleague and culture, especially the team culture. Interview, this is going back to interview prep sort of, but interview goes both ways. At the end of the interview, they will ask you, do you have any questions? Please do prep some questions because it's nice to them. It shows that you have an interest. But also at the same time, interview is not just for the employer to sort of understand you, but it's also for you to understand them. And you would want to know what kind of team you'll be working with, what kind of company culture do they have. This would be really valuable information down the line when you, let's say, decide between company A and company B. That culture might be actually the tiebreaker. You never know. So it's good to learn. Another thing is, while you're job searching, do look through Glassdoor as well. So there's this website called Glassdoor where employers would leave reviews of their company, what is it like working there, and etc. It might actually offer you good insights as well. Joshua, do you have anything on your end?
Not really, because I think you guys have covered most of what needs to be covered lah. I mean, for myself, I act as a consultant, a counselor, as sometimes advisor, friend. I don't know. I have many roles in campus activities, and I think many of you who have worked with me would know that sky is the limit, I must say. As I've mentioned previously, please work on these so-called this what we call transferable skills, because no matter what job you take, you will bring those with you, no matter what degree you hold.
Thank you so much, everyone, for the answers to the questions today. That was our last question. Actually, we went over time a bit, so I will be closing the session now. Thank you so much for attending today and for lasting basically the whole way of just your seniors rapping about 1 hour. Please, as Vanessia is constantly pointing at the QR code, do scan the QR code, or if you have issues with the QR code, I'm gonna be info dumping certain links on the chat. So do use the link to sign up to our membership. And if you have any questions, please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. Then you can PM us your questions so we can help you along the way. And definitely we'll have future events and you can still connect and network with us through those future events if you have any questions. Through your different career line, be it early, mid-stage, you would definitely be looking at seniors, mentors, fellow peer group mates, or perhaps even in the future, you might also want to help the juniors. So do connect with us. We also have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, other than LinkedIn. So we are everywhere. It'll be very easy to find us, please. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending the session today. We have a comment from Yap Yishan. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. My Chinese is horrible. Thank you very much for the insights. That was a really helpful session. Thank you also.
Feel free
Alright,
to
thank
reach
you,
out to
everyone.
us. Feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to us through LinkedIn or any of our social medias. Just to talk to us about job hunt or about our jobs. If you're applying for a similar industry, or just to chat up with us and to have personal insights into certain areas, we will be glad to share our knowledge and experience with you. Okay.
Definitely. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.